Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Good. So please feel free. If you want to ask your questions direct, or if you want to drop it in the chat room, feel free, and we will be very kind to answer your questions and give guidelines about that. Also, we're waiting for anybody to drop a question. There are a couple of things we plan to do this year, so we will appreciate if you just keep notes of our goings on. Follow us on Instagram. We've got an Instagram page. You know, and if you follow us, we'll have a lot of information we'll be sending out to you. This program, question and answer, we try to do it at least once a quarter, maybe twice a quarter. Sometimes in March, we also plan to have a special program online as well via this medium, which will be live in the UK, where we will try and bring in panelists and us all to discuss about life in the UK, how to settle in the UK. I mean, those very little details, they go a long way. They go a long way. You know, like I tell people when they come for PLAB 2, when you are here, try and open a UK account, maybe Monzo or stuff, or Revolut, because it helps a great deal. When you start working, they want to pay your money into an account. If you don't have an account, it's difficult. For you to open a mainstream account, they will say pay slip. So you can't get your money, and if you don't know anybody in the UK, you know, it's not very interesting. Not very. If you have a friend who works in the north and you are working in the south, that wahala. And you didn't come and count bridge in the UK. You came to work and get paid. So it's advisable, open your account while you're here. It takes 5 working days max. One of those Revolut or Monzo accounts, so that by the time you start working and you give them, you get your money. You can open a mainstream account later. So things like that, those information are very, very vital. And we will do our best to bring you that program sometimes in March this year. So get ready. Question and answer will still be a continuum. We'll try and do it at least once, at most twice in a quarter, to make sure that we sensitize everybody's mind about various questions, job especially. You know, that's the first thing you want to do after your post-PLAB results, you know, and all those things. You want to get a job. And CV reviews, we also do CV reviews as well, you know. So we have those things in place that we do. Yeah, and good.
Bobby,
so
yeah. If you're done, can you allow me to share my screen?
Yeah. Hold on, let me just see.
So while Bobby is doing that, I just want to say that when you come over to the UK to open any account in the UK, all you need is an address. And if you're staying in BaloSegha for a long period, let's say more than 2 weeks, you can use our address, get all the details, your passwords posted to you. You sorted that out. I remember when I arrived, when they were going to pay my first salary, I didn't have a bank account. I was just all over the place because they asked for so many things, you can never get them. So it's easier for you to sort that out as soon as possible when you are around in the UK with BaloSegha. What I want to say on my side is we started BaloSegha as an accommodation company, but over time we have metamorphosed to something bigger. So we don't only cater for your accommodation. All the houses BaloSegha has, 8 houses now, have 2 mannequins, general examination and IV cannulation, otoscope and ophthalmoscope in every house. So you can always practice. There are people in the UK who just come to BaloSegha to practice. There are people who they've gone somewhere else to do their academy. They are not in Samson because Samson is the closest to us. And they just come over to practice. And some have said, okay, I'm coming over because I'm not going to any academy, and I'm coming just to meet people who have gone to academy to practice. So we've done that. After that, we've started audit course, which Victoria will talk about soon, because a lot of people after passing the PLAB, then they get into PLAB 3. It's a confused state where you don't know what is expected of you. And a lot of people fall short of, including myself, when I got to this country, audit, what's research, what's quality improvement. I didn't understand it. So I will understand anyone who comes to this country without much understanding of it. So we've put together a course. The January batch just finished with very good feedback. Victoria handles that. You can register for that. You get the basics of understanding of audit and quality improvement. And once you can do that, when you get to interview, you are not talking like a layperson. And with that knowledge you get, you can still start your audit from Nigeria. And when they ask you about audit, you're telling them what you have started. It's not like I'm green. You will get a certificate also for this audit course, and then you can also add it to your portfolio to say, I know about audit. I'm not a beginner anymore. BaloSegha, I always say to people who try to wait for their visas before booking, it doesn't work that way. Well, you might think you're saving money, but the thing is, if you don't get your visa, we refund you. That's 100% refund. But if you wait for your visa, by the time you get your visa, there's no more accommodation. It happened to about 3 people today. They didn't know that they could have actually booked, but now they've got the visa, but there's no accommodation. Some of our houses are booked till May. It's because of the things we offer. You can also get a letter of to the embassy from BaloSegha. In the last 6 months, BaloSegha has now invested a lot on social media, and we have social media handles. Bobby, is it possible for me to share now?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes. Then when you finish, there's a question. When you finish, there's a question, but go ahead.
I cannot see the button to share now.
Okay, go to, sorry, let me just, hold on,
I was waiting for that.
So, settings, sorry, Victoria.
All right, I'll just continue talking while you're sorting that out. So we are very active on YouTube. Every program we do, because some people will miss it for different reasons, we will record it and put on YouTube. So you can go to @BaloSegha's channel on YouTube and watch everything. If you are doing GMC registration, we have an in-house person that we pay to sort out GMC queries. So, and it's free for you guys. So you just email us, oh, I've been applying for GMC and on this question, I don't know how to go about it. You send it to us, we forward it to her. She answers it, she sends it back, we send it to you, and people have actually benefited from it. If you want to watch the video, you can also go to YouTube. So YouTube is there. We're very active on Instagram, and we're building a community of BaloSegha followers in there. Tomorrow, there will be a giveaway. It's £50 for one random follower. So you will see the entry. It's just to appreciate people following us. Also, another reason why you can follow us on Instagram is we post nice jobs. So we sit down, we look at the jobs coming out in a week, we choose the good hospitals, the good jobs, but we cannot post for everyone. So, for example, if there are lots of medicine jobs coming out, we may not put so many medicine. We want to balance it. We may forget neonatology. So you can write in the comment section to say, how about neonatology? Somebody randomly, maybe once in 3 months, will say, how about public health? Then we will then post additional ones for that person, because we target people who are just pre-residency, because 80% of you guys coming to us are people who haven't started residency. They are still like CT1, CT2, ST1, ST2. So that's our target. We focus on those ones. But if we miss you out, just send us that question. And that's that for now. If there's any question, we'll take it.
There's a quick question before you share. Hold on, let me just read it. It's from Doing. It says, please, Is it advisable to enter specialty training directly from Nigeria via MSRA, GP training, for example? So, give
All
an
right,
advice.
I'll be very honest. If I were in your shoes, I would not. And I'll tell you why. When you get into the UK, depending on hospitals also, some are patient, some are not patient. If you go to the tertiary hospitals where they're doing complex surgeries, most times they're not patient. If you go to the secondary hospitals, not the big ones, they are patient. So he just arrived, just calm down, let him get his feet down, and then you build your confidence. Now, if that same person who builds his confidence in the secondary center had gone to a tertiary, they was like, this guy cannot clerk a patient with end carotidectomy. Well, he's never seen it before, but these people are assuming that, oh, somebody in ST1 training can do this. Why can't somebody with paying this much do that? So because they won't give you leeway, you need to target where you go for the first time. Now, let's change the ball game. If you go into training, they have assumed that you know it. So the training is more complex in the sense that it's a network of chains. You mess up, they flag it to your ES. Your ES is not even met you. Oh, the training I got is already having issues. It will flag it to the TPD. Before you know what, they have not even met you. Your story is in the deanery. So you cannot come to GP training now. You pass the exam, you tick all the boxes, and you're making random errors in A&E. Like, oh, GPST1. He cannot do the ALS properly. They flag you up. Unlike somebody who makes the same mistake out of training, because everything is just within the hospital. They say, oh, come for one meeting. Oh, go for training. So there's no excuse for you not to land and fly well in training. That's it. So it depends on your knowledge. But if I'm in your shoes, I'll still spend maybe 3 months, 6 months in NHS before I dive into training, because your errors will not be forgiven. They'll protect you, but they will also write you a lot of letters that can just mar your experience. And you're just starting. When I got into anesthetics in UK, when I got around in 2013, I saw an anesthetic machine I did not know where to touch. That tells you that, so there are sophisticated machines like this. I didn't know where to start. And this was me after 6 years in Nigeria doing anesthesia. So if I jumped into training, which is not possible in anesthetics anyway, I would have had a bigger problem. They would have said, can you imagine the guy who turned up in theater today didn't even know where to touch the machine? This is quite unsafe. Let us will go to 100 people.
True. True. Okay, thank you very much. Doyi has asked another question. This is about the bank account you talked about. Another question. He opened a bank, Monzo, but they have asked him for pay tax. Now, what I will quickly say is this. This is my first time I'm hearing this. So if Monzo is asking for your tax residency, you can try, what's it called? Revolut. I'm not sure Revolut ask for tax, all those things. I know people that have filled the form and filled the whole thing, and within 5 working days, straight away they get it. So you might give that a try. Maybe if you know somebody in the UK, put that person's address, and the person gets it to you. You know, once they send the card to you, send it to Nigeria. Is that okay?
Are you asking my slides now?
Thumbs up. Yes, yes.
Sorry,
yes.
thank you. Regarding my question about the Monzo card, I actually got the Monzo card before I left BaloSegha.
Okay.
So
you
it was
got
after,
it. Okay.
after I got, yes, I have the card. It was after I got to Nigeria.
Okay.
Yes,
that
they started asking. Yes.
I've never heard that before, to be honest. So
no,
maybe I'll look into it,
tax, unless you open it as company.
Maybe company.
Ask for any task.
Maybe you open it as company. Maybe you open it as company. But check if you can check, you know, Because I've never heard anybody say they've asked for tax. Maybe you open it as a company, maybe, but just check what you did if you can still follow up and find
Okay.
out. Yeah.
All right, can I quickly present this now, Bobby? Can
Yes.
everybody
Yes.
see the screen?
Yep. Go ahead.
All right, so like I said earlier, BaloSegha has metamorphosed and improved from accommodation provider to more than that. So we used to have 8. By grace of God, by next month we would have 10. So most of the houses are close to Samson. 2 of them are walking distance to Samson, and they get booked quickly. Like I said earlier, don't wait for your visa before booking. If you book before your visa and your visa doesn't come out well, God forbid, you will get your refund. But when you wait for your visa first, the accommodations are gone because we are booked all over the world, and yeah, it goes really fast. So we have a lot of social media handles. Everything we do online will be recorded and posted on YouTube for others to see. So you can follow us on YouTube, BaloSegha. That's our email address if you have any question after this. BaloSegha on Instagram is very, very active. We post jobs. We congratulate previous BaloSegha. When we have gifts to give out, it goes on the Instagram. And from tomorrow, there will be a giveaway. The price will be £50 to one randomly selected person. You follow us, you like the post, and you tag 3 friends. So there may be people who have been to BaloSegha or who will be to BaloSegha or not. So just to kind of create some activity, if you share it on your stories, you get extra entries, and also you are allowed multiple entries. So for every comment where you tag, you put 3 people, then the computer will recognize that entry qualifies, and then you can have multiple. And we are also on TikTok. Also on the Instagram, we post jobs. So weekly, we would post jobs that we think you guys can benefit from. And a few people, I would say about 4 or 5 people, have actually picked up jobs from there. If you have any extra questions, you can always send us an email or type underneath the comment and ask, and somebody will respond to you. A few people have actually gotten the jobs. Other things we do are audit and quality improvement. Victoria will talk more about that. We mentor people. Just send us emails and we'll guide you through the process. We've had more than 20 people do interview practices, and they've gone ahead to get jobs, and they've given us reviews. You can read them online. We have educational courses. We've started, Bobby, if I miss out any, remind me. We started with GMC registration, do's and don'ts. Then we went to Ejire Yaru did CV for us. And then we brought in a neurosurgeon who did how to ace your interviews. And we have seen that Nigerians and a lot of people are getting into GMC Yawa. I went to support one of our colleagues some time ago. So we're bringing a medical legal person in next. And he's going to tell us why is it happening to us again and again and again? Why are we getting into this problem? How do we get out? You know, we all make mistakes, but then some people in the mistake will dig more hole for themselves. So that's what we're going to do. Our letter to embassy are actually acknowledged, and we get correspondences. Sometimes they want to verify the authenticity of the letter. They call us and we'll say, yes, this person we know. Yes, we wrote this letter. Any further thing, contact us. So we don't have problem with the GMC and with the Home Office in that regard. And BaloSegha has other houses for non-doctors. So some people have come, they're nurses, master students, professionals. Yeah. We have other houses for them. We try not to mix plovers and non-plovers, because some non-plovers cannot stand the sight of the mannequins. And then doctors discuss a lot in the house. Some people just want to sleep. So we try to avoid mixing together. So these are some of our mannequins. These are some of our houses. That's one of our doctors who has passed working in NHS. using the venipuncture one, and we've got more than 110 reviews now. I've lost count of it. So if you go to balosegha.co.uk, you can see a lot of reviews. We are the only accommodation that will take kids. So Bobby, I think we've had about 4 or 5 now. Some have come with 9-month-old children.
3 months old.
Yeah, with their mom or maid or spouse while they go to Samson. Other places, once they hear kids, they won't say anything. So we'll go back to the questions. Thank you for listening to me.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So Z has been bombarding us with questions, which is good. Let me start with the first question.
Can you stop the sharing, Bobby?
Okay. I think you need to stop it from your side.
Okay.
Let
me see if I can.
I think you need to stop it from your side.
The X button at the top.
X button at the top from Shares Place, wow?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'll do that. You can continue. We'll keep on talking.
Okay, so Z has a question. One of the few questions. How do we respond to evidence that FY2 competencies have been signed off? Do you want to take that first question, or you want me to read the other questions?
You can read the other ones.
Okay. Can I apply if I don't meet all the essential criteria, e.g., previous NHS job experience? And supporting information, do we have to complete 1,500 words? What is the reasonable maximum word limit? Also, should this section be written in prose or bullet points? Good question.
All right, so let me quickly take the 3, starting from the last one. So supporting documents. Supporting document is a way to sell yourself. So it's like you want to say, you must have read everything. And you think, these people, they are not asking me so much about the research I've done. So I'm going to tell them about the research. But the way to do the supporting document, the best way is read what they want from you and tell them in a very short way that you've done it in the past, you're currently doing it, and you will be doing it when you come over to them. So for example, they say, oh, we're a teaching hospital. You can say, in the last 10 years, in the last 2 years, I've given 16 lectures and educative talk to nurses, juniors, and colleagues in the department. Currently, I am part of the tutors in my hospital, and when I join your trust, I will be providing these services along with the educational department. So when you write this, try and make it bullet points. Nobody wants to read a novel. I want to look at your letter. You see, the story is, if I look at your CV in 30 seconds and I don't know the head or tail of it, it's gone. But I want to see bullet points, flexible, educative, team player, quality improvement, and you just put the story down. Just a line of your quality improvement. If they want more information, they will ask you at the interview. So I should be able to see in 2 pages, this guy will be good for us. But if you have written everything in so many words, and I have to look for your audit in that book, no time. So that's that question first. The second person asked about, Bobby. I can't hear you, Bobby.
Sorry, I didn't admit it. Second question, let me read it out. Just hold on, please.
Something about
can I apply if I don't meet all essential criteria, e.g.
yes.
previous NHS job?
Yes, please apply. Not everybody gets the NHS job, okay? I'll use my own experience as an example. I applied for anesthetics. I was interviewed online. There were 2 jobs. 5 turned up. physically. I was online in Nigeria. I was the only one that got the job. When I started the work, I was looking for the second person, and then they told me, they said, "Oh, we're going to re-advertise the second job because none of the people who turned up in the UK got it." And I was the only one without NHS experience. So just risk it. If they say they want FRCA and you don't have it, apply. Let them not shortlist you. One of my friends applied for a fellowship post when I started. And I was saying to her, but they want FRCA. She said, I will just do it. She's Indian. Then she called me and said, I got the job. I said, you got the job? She said, I got the job. So I was shocked. But then just don't rule yourself out. Just apply. And the third one.
How do you respond to the evidence that FY2 competencies have been signed off?
So if you have done your house job, you have done FY1, FY2. So your letter, your sign-off letter from the, I think we used to sign off with GMC, Medical and Dental Council. You know those forms that we signed off from OBS, surgery, medicine, and the last one. The 4 units.
Pediatrics.
And pediatrics, thank you, God bless you. And pediatrics, that is enough that you have completed FY2. You've done house job. House job is F1 and F2. Ticked, that is enough. And MDCN receives that letter, those signed papers, and they give you one letter to that you are no longer provisional. That is the evidence. And I think that those are the 3 so far.
Those are the questions we have so far. Okay. Whilst we're still waiting for more questions, feel free to drop your questions in the chat. As we said earlier, a couple of programs are coming up. The legal, the one Shaya announced will be taking place around April-ish. You know, we're working on the lawyer, the barrister in charge, and we're looking at April-ish, but we'll let you know. Again, the much talked about BaloSegha Entertainment, which unfortunately we couldn't do last year due to some in-house rearrangements, will take place this year by the grace of God. So hopefully you guys will have been working in the UK. Wherever you are, just come around to Manchester. We'll let you know the dates and time and venue. If you are on call that day, swap. Make sure you come and enjoy yourselves. It will be a lot of wonderful time being together again. Let's all come together and meet one another. BaloSegha is coming together. So this will be the first ever BaloSegha entertainment we'll have during the summer when it doesn't get dark until 10 p.m. So we can enjoy ourselves and you can catch your train back to your station, 10:30 train or 11 o'clock train to your station. And yeah, just let's come and have fun. We will let you know about all of these soon. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube, please do. Just go to YouTube, BaloSegha, you see it, subscribe. Join us, Ashaye, and put it on the slide. We can post it again, our IG handle and every other handle again, so that we can have all of these things for everyone to see. So if you have any questions, please drop your question in the chat. We are also having a £50 giveaway from tomorrow. We call it free money. It's very, very free. There's no free lunch in Freetown, but this one is very free. So it's £50. £50 can go a long way to do 1 or 2 things, you know. It's not cheap. Tesco says every little helps. So it goes a long way. So thank you very much. Any questions, drop it in the box, or if you want to shoot directly, quickly shoot, and let's see how that goes. Just let us know if you want the what's it called, the audit. We've got the link there on the chat, so you can click it and find out about every detail you want to find out. So the next person you're seeing on the screen is Victoria. I must say that's my lovely wife.
Is the queen of BaloSegha.
Yeah, that's my lovely wife. She's my best half, so I must make noise about her anyway. If you have any questions, just drop the questions. Okay, Musa has something good. Okay, one before Musa. Has anybody said anything? Good.
I
Musa
just wanted
has a
to
question.
say something
Oh,
about audits
yeah, go
before you
ahead.
ask the question. So basically, audits, the reason why we've been talking about the audit course is because it's something that comes up in interviews. So when eventually you get invited to an interview, they could ask you, what do you understand by audit? Have you done an audit before? It's part of the management questions that is asked in NHS. So it's very important to know the principles. And if possible, you can actually do an audit of your own. It's not something that takes a long time. So that is why we have developed this course in association with an educational, one of our educational partners called Sumim. So I've put the link to join our WhatsApp group for the course. We've just finished January batch and we are starting February batch very soon. I will put the link up again. You can join the WhatsApp group, enroll. You get access to all the modules, which you can do at your own time. We will have a live session where you can ask questions and you will get one-to-one support for you to do an audit of your own. So it's going to put you in a very good stead for your interview if you have actually done an audit. And this is something you can do in like a couple of weeks. So please take advantage of this opportunity and tell your friends as well. So I'll put the link now for you to join the WhatsApp group. Thank you.
Thank you very much, babes. Thank you. Musa has a question. I have worked mostly in surgery. Can I apply for jobs in other specialties?
Yes, Musa,
Yeah,
nice
possible.
question. That's a very common question. And I'll tell you the trick around that. Because you've done a lot of surgeries, if you're applying for something, let's say acute medicine, you have to underplay your surgical experience and bring out your medical experience. The way to do it is read thoroughly what is expected of you of that role and think, sit down and try to find when you did it. You would have done it, maybe it's just not that frequent, okay? Then you now make it the bigger part of the CV, the bigger part of the application, and you underplay your surgery. If you then do the reverse and you go in for a surgical post, then you bring out your natural thing and say, this is surgical, I've done this. If you've done a lot of surgical posts and you've gone for medicine, if they are asking you of your list of procedures, don't write surgical ones there. You have to now sit down and then think about ABG interpretation, ECG interpretation. Just write the medical ones for that. That's why when people tell me they have applied for 150 jobs, I just laugh. You cannot apply for 10 good jobs correctly. It's demanding. If you do them well, you will be tired by the time you get to 10. Okay? So people who say they've done 120, they are copying and pasting, and you will not be called for interview. Because as soon as I look at it, I say, this guy is applying for an aesthetic job. I can see emergency medicine in it. It goes into the dustbin. Next person. Good. That's how they shortlist, because you have about 200 people for one job. So we want to throw about 250 in the dustbin first day. Next.
Awesome. Lovely. Samuel Orano has a question. Please, considering what you said about it not being ideal entering directly into training, what would you advise us to do if we had to choose between entering training directly or starting up with NES? NES again, yeah.
All right. NES comes up again and again and again. I have nothing against NES, okay? Nothing against NES. But between us, you, my people, NES will not develop you. Let me give you an example. I'm a consultant anesthetist and I go to work in private hospital and I see this guy in that private hospital is the doctor in there. What does he do? Because he cannot even write a prescription. They don't allow him to write a prescription. So if he spends 6 months there, he would enjoy his life. But what development has he had? Little or nothing. He has a room in the hospital. He sleeps 24 hours in there. He does 1 week in there. By the time I'm going, I've written all the prescription. Some of the surgeries we have done, the patients are already leaving before I finish for the day. So at the end of the night, the hospital is just quiet. So if I have to choose between starting NES or starting in training, I'd rather go for training than start with NES, because every time matters. If you have spent 2 years and you've not developed yourself, I wouldn't like to look back 2 years and say, what have I done?
Awesome. Queeneth has a question. First of all, she thanked us. So her question is, how can one be certain that a job will come with COS? This is because some of them do not specify this. Or do we just go ahead and apply?
Just go ahead and apply for every job you see. They would ask you at a point in time in the registration your visa status. They'll say EU or UK requiring this. Just apply. If they can call you for interview, they would sort your visa out. Almost, I would say 100% of the trust in the UK have a right to bring in people. Even BaloSegha was planning to start bringing people in. So it doesn't take so much. It's just a registration and payment of an amount, and you're qualified to issue out COS. So COS is not an issue. Apply for all the jobs you think you can do, and it's their own problem, because they are the ones that bring in the expatriate. You are the expatriate now to come and help the NHS that is collapsing.
Good one. Good one. Z is back again. Lovely. I love this Z. He's really planning ahead. What is the preschool age in UK? This Z, you're not chilling. No. How much does preschool childcare expenses impact on newbie doctors in UK, e.g., 3-year-old? Let me start before Shere comes in. So to start nursery school in the UK is 4 years old. So for your 3 years old, it's always advisable to go to the private ones. Some people, if you can afford it every day, some people just do like 3 days in a week, a half day or full day. It depends. It depends really. And most of them, well, it's an average of maybe 50 to 65 pounds per day ish. If I'm right. Yeah, Victoria, confirm that for me, please. 50 to 65 pounds per day, well, in Manchester area. So just have that in mind if you're doing that. So, but your child who is 3 years old can only get into school by 4 years old. Is that clear? Yeah, good. Oshay, do you want to add anything to that?
I would just say you've said it correctly. You get 15 hours free from the government. So even if you go for the private one, the 15 hours, so maybe Tuesday to Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those 3 days will be covered by the government. If you want to pay for the Monday and Friday, you can do that. And if you don't want to pay for it and you have off days on Mondays and Fridays, you can also have, you don't have to pay for that. So the preschool is not, I can't remember that it was difficult for us to manage. We use and it's not, on tier 2, they will say no recourse to public fund. It is not counted as public fund. It's like education. So it's not something it's not something much, honestly.
Good. So John has a question or two. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Now, I just want to add, it might be, so if your child is 3, then congrats to you, because you don't have a long time to pay for whatever nursery care that you're going to pay. It might be a bit expensive in the beginning. Some private nurseries can charge up to £8,000 a month, some of them. So you might need to shop around. You might need to look at, so there are people who are like nannies, who come and go. You might just look at which one is affordable for you. But if your child is 3, that means that you don't have a long time to pay those nursery fees. And just as has been said, you can make your work schedule a bit more flexible so that you can take full advantage of those 15 hours.
Good. Thank you so much. John has two questions. Number one, when drafting your supporting statements, do you put into the headings? I don't know. Number two, then for employment history in the space that is written specialty, what do you put if you work in a multi-specialty hospital? Do you just put internal medicine if you're applying for an internal medicine job, for example?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I'll do. I will just let them lead me on to it. So if I worked in maybe Abuja multi-specialty hospital where they did a lot of internal medicine, cardiac surgeries, cardiac interventions, and also did a lot of fantastic neurosurgical operations, and I'm applying for medical post, I'll call the multi-specialty hospital in that application medical. If I'm applying for the next one and it's a fellow in neurosurgery, I'll call it a surgical hospital and I will talk more about their neurosurgery. So you just play it because it's multi-specialty, but then you want to kind of bring out what they want. And the other one, do you put it under headings? Headings will be good because it lets me, as the recruiting consultant, quickly sift through your form to see your application that will I be able, am I interested in this guy? Because the first stage of application is the HR would have taken the names out of everything and anonymized all the application. Then they send it to the first consultant. Oh, we are giving 2 posts out, but we have 150 applicants. This is it for you. Can you reduce it to 20? So he's looking, this one doesn't make sense, dustbin. This one makes sense, put it. At the end of the day, he looks at the one that makes sense. Oh, 25, they want 20. So I need to get 5 out. Look. Who's organized? This organized, this not organized. This, okay, let's take this one out. Then he gives the 20 to the next person who then sit down and call about 8 to interview. For every job, times 4. So they need 2 people, they multiply by 2, they need 2 people, they multiply by 4. They call 8 people. And of that 8, those who do well on that day, the first 2, they'll call them. The first 2 may turn down the job. So they have a backup of people. Thank you.
Awesome. Doyin has another question. Please, I want to know more about your CV reviews. Okay, good. And interview practice. Sorry, hold on. It's gone up again. And interview practice. How early is it good to start practicing for interviews, considering how long it takes to get called to interviews?
Well, it depends. We do things differently. Some people are last minute people. I personally am not last minute. So I try to see what I would want to do in a couple of months and I prepare myself. So it depends on the kind of person you are. The interview usually are tailored towards a particular interview you're going to. So if you contact us and the secretary gets the letter, we'll forward the interview practice to either myself or Victoria, depending on who's free. The first thing we say, send us the job specification because I want to see the job you're going for. So from that job, I know that, these are the likely questions. And that's how we build the interview. Sometimes we just say, you're not doing very well, let's have another session. And then I tell the person, this is how to bring the point out. This is how to sell yourself. So if you're starting very early and we're doing it blindly, then we may fall short of, do we train you for acute medicine? Do we train you for emergency medicine? Are we training you for neurosurgery? Is it neonatology? So we don't know. So that's where maybe it's good to quickly come after being invited for interview. So that's the interview bit. The CV review is we don't write CVs in Nigeria. Hence, when we're asked to write the first one, we fall short. We undersell ourselves. We don't write a very good one. So you need someone to have a look at it and say, guy, man, you can write better than this. take this off, put this one, do this, do that. Sometimes we have to send it back to you, again back to you, until we are very happy that this now meets the UK standard. This is sellable. So people say, I've applied for a job. I say, with this interview, with this CV, nah, no way. So because we have been here for quite a while, we have helped with recruitment, we've seen people we know what to see at stages. So we can tailor you there and say, yeah, when people say ECG, I can do ECG. The mates are the ones doing ECG here. So you have to say you can interpret. It's gone past. I know in Nigeria, to do ECG, they'll bring one big machine that time specially to come and do ECG. No, it's not like that here. It's just a portable thing. The mates are the ones. They are clueless about medicine. They are the ones that will do the ECG. You are the one to interpret it. So that's
Awesome.
why you may have to wait for interview, but you can get your CV right. If you get your CV right, it will help your applications very well. You get quickly selected for interviews. Once you know that this interview is what I want, then you can have interview practices. And when you get there, you're speaking good English, you are mesmerizing them. There was a guy who had gone for interview. I think he's gone once or twice. He didn't do well. Then he managed to come to BaloSegha. And first time, I said, my guy, we have to do another one now. But by then, confidence had built up. He was now talking very well. He just texted me one afternoon. He just said, they gave me the job right there and there. And he's doing quite well in the NHS now. So another thing I would like to say, which is out of this, is don't accept 2 jobs. In the last 1 year, I've seen more than 15 people who have accepted 2 jobs. Please don't start that way. You are starting with a medical legal problem.
Very true. So David is just wants clarity for the employment. He doesn't know if it has been answered. For the employment history, do you tailor what you do in your present workplace to the job you're applying for, or do you just put everything in? Also, how easy and quick is it to contact you for interview practice in case one gets called? Well, it's easy,
So
really.
again,
Clarity.
so again, I will repeat that you tailor the job you're applying for. You tailor your CV to the job you're applying for. So for example, I am an anesthetist, and all my life, in the last, how many years now, donkey years now, I've done anesthetics. If I need to apply for a medical job, I will be very quiet on my anesthetics. I'll be telling them about cases where I've helped internal medicine people with DKA, COPD, anesthetics, it crosses over to us. They will want it. I will talk more about my medical knowledge in intensive care and sell those ones. I will not talk about intubation. I will not tell them that I've got FRCA. I'll not tell them that I've got European diploma in anesthesia. I would rather tell them about my MBBS, F1, all the intensive care medicines and the things like that. So I think that's about that. And the second question is
how easy and quick is it to contact you for interview practice in case one gets called?
It's easy. It's easy. It just depends on how many people around that period, because we're getting a lot of people, and how free myself and Victoria are. We're outsourcing also, but then it also depends on when you are free, when the doctors who are going to take you are free. But as soon as you send an email, the process starts. And of course, if you tell us that this interview is starting next week, then we may be able to consider you jump the queue because yours is coming up earlier.
Yeah, good. Gwyneth has a question. I applied for a job with a trust for A&E role, but got an unsuccessful mail. The same trust later advertised a general surgery post. Can I still apply?
Yes, you can.
Why,
yes, you can.
You said,
let me
go
chip
ahead.
this in. Every time you are unsuccessful, I told the last chap I talked about to write back to them to tell them Can you tell me why I'm unsuccessful? And they gave him feedbacks that helped us in preparation for the next one. So if you say somebody has not done well, you have to be able to tell them, this is where you fell short, not just you're unsuccessful.
Awesome. Z, are job interviews mostly clinical stuff?
No. So in job interviews, it's divided into about 3 or 4. So they may start in any way, but majorly they will ask you one clinical. So let's say it's medical. They will tell you, okay, you're going to see a chap in A&E and he's got hyperkalemia. So they say manage it. You just have to quickly tell them you're not the salient things you do. Yeah. After that, then they will want to get you into one case scenario where they want to see if you're a team player. Oh, you want to admit this patient and the staff on the staff nurse has disagreed with you, and she says there's no bed. So they want to see whether you are just going to say, we have admitted, that's your own problem. They want to see your line of thought, how you're going to escalate. They want to see how you deal with problems. So at that point in time, you have to stay calm. They can tell you, oh, you got to work and your colleague is smelling of alcohol. They want to see whether you are this kind of person that say, no, not my problem. But they want to also see that if it's your problem, how safe are you to protect others and the patient? And do you know who to escalate to? So they've given you clinical, they've given you a case where they expect you to be bamboozled, and then they will ask you about audit and research. And some hospitals will usually start with, why do you want to work for us? And they can also, after that, ask you to talk about yourself. Basically, when they say talk about yourself, they're saying, tell us about your CV as it relates to this job. So it's not like they say, tell us about yourself and you go into town with family, your hobbies. No, tell us about yourself is talk about your CV.
So David has a follow-up question before I go to another one. So it's about, they usually write something along the lines, unfortunately, feedback will not be provided in the rejection mail. Should we write them to ask for feedback? It's possible you can give it a try.
Yes, yeah. Yes, you can, because that email is generic. It comes from HR.
Yeah.
But when you're sending the email to find out why you didn't pass, just copy in the lead recruitment doctor. So every doctor, if you Google my name, you will see my NHS email. It ends with nhs.net. It's first name dot surname. Some people will have a number because they've changed their email after moving from different hospitals. You understand? At nhs.net. Just add it to it. HR will tell you they're not bothered because they have 100 people to interview in a week. But that doctor asks only you. The doctor is the one that says, we almost took you, but you made a blunder. That's what they told one of my guys. You made a blunder in your management of the medical condition. And we thought, not good. Thank you.
Good. Onyewaji Elebe has a question. Hi, all the jobs I have applied for, I haven't gotten any message to know if I've qualified for the interview or not. Should I be worried?
I would say don't be worried. This is the problem with interviews. Most hospitals will not tell you the dates when they want to interview. So let's give an example. You're applying for a job tonight, and they said it closes February 28th. So you have submitted before February 28th, but they didn't tell you the date for the interview. So you don't know when it is, whether it's April, whether it's March, whether it's May, you don't know. But if they have told you that interview is March 3rd, if by 1 week to March 3rd, you have not been communicated with, then you know that, forget that one. For consultant interview, they will say, this job closes February 28th. Interview is March 6th. So if I don't hear anything before that time, they have not called me. And they will always tell us, they'll say, you have been selected for interview. You have not been selected for interview. it's straightforward, but I think at the junior level, they are doing a lot of things and they may not communicate well. But don't be worried, just continue applying.
All right, so Z, another question on this track job question. Choose your immigration status. Is this the appropriate option to choose for new newbies? So his one is, I do not have a visa or right to work in the UK. This applies to individuals without the right to work in the UK. They cannot undertake employment without sponsorship for a visa.
That's the correct answer.
Yeah, good. Let me check the next question, sorry.
So somebody has said, why is it so very important to at least try to do an audit? Audit is a form of. So audit and research are different. Audit and research are very different.
There's one before then, if you can respond to that. By Hussein, how do we respond about research experience when we do not have one?
All right, so there's a trick around this one. I always tell people, and I'll share it here also. Not everybody would have done research, but in the UK, F1, F2, even medical students, they would have recruited medical students to top researchers. And by the time they show you their research at F1, you will be amazed. This is not, they help to do this thing. They are there, authors, because they have professors. Professors say, do you have anything? Because they are already preparing them for that key job. So most of them just join. Some times ago, when I was in Brighton, we're doing some research. Some medical students just turned up and said, any research ongoing? They analyzed all the results. They had all the resources, the research departments in their hospital, in their university. They just take it to them, they analyze. And we had to put their name there because they took away the board, the work of the analysis. They did everything. If you want them to go and present it in Newcastle, they will go. They'll present it and you don't have to go anymore. So the shortcut to the research, because we are coming from somewhere research are not done so well, done very often, I mean, is to go online. There's something called the clinical, there's an online thing and it's free. It's called the clinical CGP of research. I cannot remember what the CGP stands for. You just do this online thing and you're basically, at the end of the day, it tells you the understanding of the research processes and how it goes about. So when they ask you research, you say you tick it, you evidence, you have that certificate from that place printed out. When you get to interview and they say, tell us about research you have done. Unfortunately, I haven't done. However, I've got the knowledge of research and I will make myself very much available to join the research department and carry out researches when I join your trust. They will buy the idea. Not everybody will have the research. And it's not top thing they are looking for.
Awesome.
I'm sorry,
yeah.
can I clarify something on that? Because I tried to answer that person. So just to make my answer clearer. So I'm not saying audit will replace research, but if you have done an audit, it kind of shows you have some sort of knowledge of research because it's some of the same principles that you would use for an audit that you use for a research. So you have to talk about background, your aims, what are your methods, what are the results, what's the conclusion from your research. And that is why I'm saying that if you have not been able to do a clinical research, because it takes a lot of, there are lots of factors involved in that, you can do an audit, which is very simple to do. And I've posted the link to our WhatsApp group if you are interested in learning how to do an audit, which you can do within weeks. And you can say, I have understanding of research, and I have also done an audit in so field. So I hope that answers that.
Thank you very much, Victoria. So Victoria is the lead for BaloSegha research, and like she's mentioned earlier, we partnered with another educational company called Tumin, and this Tumin, we put together the audit course. The January batch just finished. There is a link to join the WhatsApp group, and you can ask all your questions relating to this audit, and you'll be put through. If you can join the February, then you got the audit ticked off. The knowledge is there. You speak no more like a layperson in interview, and then you can actually start something from Nigeria. It's not about finishing. It's about starting at your stage. If I turn up at consultant interview and I'm talking about starting the audit, they say, what's wrong with this guy? So that's what we're going to share. For people who joined us late, I want to say that there is free £50 to be won on BaloSegha Instagram from tomorrow. It's going to run for just a week. So it's going to be from 30th tomorrow till the 5th of February. The entries requirement will be there, and randomly the computer, which is InstaTrack, will select someone who's going to have the £50. Even I want the extra £50, but Bobby is not going to give me for now. So yeah, and then apart from that, we post jobs regularly and we communicate a lot of our activities on Instagram majorly. Thank you.
Lovely. Quinette has a question. Already have NES in the pipeline. Should one just go ahead with it, then later apply for NHS after starting with NES, or wait for an NHS job from the onset? I think just clarify again. I think you've said about NES, but just clarify again.
Yeah, so this question, I must say, in the last 12 months, I would have been asked more than 30 times. Because I'm not you and you are not me, we have different makeup. I say to people, I say, if you are desperate, go for NES. Go for it. I cannot tell you to accept a job or not to, but desperation matters. If you're desperate, I want to get out of Nigeria, then NES it is. And I tell them, don't sign a long contract. Don't sign a long contract. And I'll tell you one short story. There was a time NES tried to, I was in NHS, they were sending me emails, and I was just playing with them to say, how much are you going to offer? I was just basically replying and just playing with them. But then, some 5 or 6 years down the line, one guy had the same name with me, and they mistakenly forwarded his COS to me. So I replied to them to say, you have sent this document to the wrong person. Kindly send to the right person. They apologized, but it didn't happen again. Yeah, so one day I tried to check the guy's name, and I actually saw this guy was my junior in secondary school, but it was when I had graduated before he got in. So I contacted him and I tried to talk to him to say, guy, just to advise him about NES and say, but he basically, he didn't even listen to me from the first minute. He said, what's your own problem with that? I said, I'm sorry. So I cut the phone. So I said to my wife, because it was my wife that said, try and rescue this guy. Don't let him go and join a bad, a place where he won't develop. So I said to my wife, I've done my best. I called him, but he turned me down because I called him on Facebook Messenger. But I then put a message to say, if you still need help, contact me. It was not up to 6 months. He said, bros, I beg, no vex. I want to leave. I said, what happened? Told me a story. I said, how long did you sign? He said, 1 year. I said, you will finish that 1 year. He said, you serious? I said, the day I called you, what happened to you? He said, Egbon, I was in one meeting and I just saw the random person. I said, but I introduced myself. I said, it's too late. You will finish 1 year. He finished the 1 year, but in pains and in sorrow.
That's usually the case. I hope that has answered on Yewaji as well. It was about a similar question, but There's a further question by Elibe. What job can a doctor, hold on, what job can a doctor who has not written PLAB 2 do on arrival in the UK as a dependent? Ooh, hoping that it will boost the CV after getting GMC registration. Not as a doctor, no. Not as a doctor.
No.
Not as, except you go to, I mean, not being funny, people do care, any job, but not as a doctor.
I would say to people, if you have enough to keep yourself, just focus on that PLAB. Focus, I beg you. I have a friend. He has written this exam. I didn't even know that PLAB has a maximum amount. He was doing care. By the time he goes to do care, by the time he comes back, he cannot read, he's tired. GMC has told him not to write PLAB 2 anymore. So just focus on one thing at a time. For me as a man, women can do plenty things at a time. I just focus on one thing. I finish that one, I focus on the next thing. I don't multitask.
Awesome. No new question for now, but if you have any question, as usual, just throw in the chat box. We should be running up soon in the next 10 minutes. If you have questions, please throw in there. Well, for those who have asked, thank you very much. This is good. This is the first Q&A for 2023. We hope to do it at least once, at most twice in a quarter. Later this quarter in March, we should have a program coming up, life in the UK. So you want to know about life in the UK. Some of you know a lot, some of you know a few, some of you want to know more. So we'll be bringing 1 or 2 people, or 3 of us will be, or 4 of us will be on the panel as panelists to talk about different things that will help us a great deal. And of course, the legal one comes up next quarter, preferably maybe April. BaloSegha will let us know. That's Hussein has asked, do you have a CV review services? Yes, we do. Just send your email to the email address there, balosegha@yahoo.com. Tell us what you want, and the admin department will reply with everything that has to be replied to. So yes, we do have the CV. Z has another question. GMC revalidation and assessment when there is no designated body, in bracket, no NHS job yet. Is this another PLAB-like assessment? Can I use revalidation from another country?
So the emails you get about revalidation is automated. So when they send you that, a few people have asked us, you just call GMC number and just tell them you have not started working with the UK, and they will say that's fine. But if they ask you for responsible officer, put your HOD there. That's responsible officer is someone in the UK who just takes care that all doctors are doing what is expected of them from the GMC. The same person who does that kind of thing in Nigeria will be your HOD. So just put your HOD as responsible officer, and for revalidation, give them a call, tell them that you have not started working UK. Even if you start working UK, you revalidate after 5 years.
Awesome, good. David has a question for ALS and BLS courses. Are online certifications without face-to-face components acceptable? If not, do you know anyone who could do it in Nigeria?
ALS, I doubt if you can complete ALS online. So some would do 2 days online and 1 day face-to-face, or 3 days face-to-face. If you find anything online, just do it. I know there's a few people doing ALS in Nigeria. I cannot remember their website, but send us an email. I will give you the friend's number, and she would connect you with the appropriate people in Nigeria for the ALS. Whatever you can do at this point in time, you do. We have started having another trick from the another smart ideas from our Asian colleagues. they have now will come over, they stay longer, they stay 2 to 3 months. But then I've noticed that by the second month, they've written their PLAB exam. So I said, what are you going to do? They say, oh, we're doing holiday and we have ALS course. So before they arrive, they've already researched the hospitals around the Manchester arena and booked themselves into ALS. So they stay February, March, end of March, they've written the exam, and by April 15th, they're doing ALS. So they're sorting everything out with one visa, the PLAB visa. And there are about 4 of them, all together, the same thing they are doing. And if you're applying and you tell me from Nigeria that you have ALS, UK Resuscitation Council ALS, and it's medicine, your paper will go higher than any other person.
True. Very true. And just to add to that about what you said about not castigating anything or anyone, you said something about the Asians. They do a lot of information dissemination, which we need to encourage with ourselves. You know, they come in groups, they tell each other at least 90% of